Hi everyone! Today I want to share a fun new stamp set from the new annual catalog that is really something different. It's the first time I've seen anything like it, and so I thought I would show how to use it. It's a fun die and embossing folder combo, and I know we've seen that before with the seashells and things like that, but this one's different. You can actually cut and emboss at the same time. What? So this one is called a hybrid embossing folder. So don't get this confused with that really pretty seashell one that's in the catalog. That one's not called a hybrid. So this is the only one that I'm aware of. So maybe in the future there'll be more. But this is the first one. So I wanted to share it. I thought it was beautiful. I liked the stamp set right off the bat, actually. I really loved these flowers. I like to watercolor. I thought this would be a really pretty image to color. And I also thought it was just a nice soft look with the stamps too. So if you don't like to color, you can use the filler stamps. So you've got an outline and a filler. So how perfect is that? Anyway, I thought it was really pretty. I liked the accents. It's just a really gorgeous set. And then just really intrigued me to have this die cut and embossing folder combo. So right now, you can buy this a couple ways. You can purchase just the stamp set. You can purchase just the embossing folder and die cuts. These are sold together, so you can't buy just these or just that. These two are currently sold together, and this one, or you can buy the whole thing, the whole bundle, which is what I recommend. So the whole bundle, and you'll save a 10% discount when you buy the whole bundle. So let's just show you what I created, and then we'll make a couple cards together. So I meant to do this video early afternoon, but I started playing with the stamp set, and I just kept going. And then I kept going, and then I kept going, and then now it's time for me to make dinner. And I'm finally making a video. So let's see. I know I made more than this. I think I sent a couple out already because I needed. I was behind in sending out some things too. Father's Day weekend kind of throws me sometimes. So anyway, I wanted to share a few different ways to use the combination here. I used this one. I used the filler stamps, so I didn't do any special coloring. I just used the filler stamps to color in my flowers, and that's a fun way to use it. And then I also used the flower stamps on the background. And I want to show you the flower stamps are one stamp. It's one stamp, but you can't, and I would not cut them apart because they fit up nicely with the embossing folder and the dies. I know sometimes we're tempted to cut our stamps apart. I wouldn't do that. It's real easy to ink up just one of the flowers if you only want one. You can use your markers, or you can, just carefully use a stamp or an ink pad and leave off the other one. So it is easy to stamp just the one. I did it a couple times already, and I would leave it all together. But that's the stamp, and then so that's what I did here. And then I cut them out and just used them on this card. This is Magenta Madness, and then on this one it's similar. Almost the same card, but this time I wanted to paint because I like to watercolor, so I used the same idea. I just flipped the card sideways, and this time I used petal pink, or polished pink, sorry. I'm really liking polished pink these days, so I keep gravitating towards polished pink. So that's what I did here. This is polished pink. And some black accents. And I used the embossing folder on the back as a background. I want to show you here. This is just so simple. Here I just stamped the one flower. That's it. One flower and colored it really simply. This is like my simple 2-second card. Sometimes you want something quick and easy. I didn't use any dies at all. Okay, and then this was almost the same. Same colors anyway. This is that new Soft Succulent and Evening Evergreen. Very pretty. And here I used the flowers kind of where they are in the embossing folder. So I embossed and then put the flowers on top. Now, one cool thing about the embossing folder that's not going to show up on the video is that when you emboss, you're going to get texture on these flowers too. So it looks like a stamped image, but in person, the person who sees it is going to see the these little veins on the flowers, for example, are embossed. And so you've got more detail than you normally would. The petals themselves are raised, the outline of the petals, the centers are also slightly raised, so there's embossing on the flower as well as that background has all those pretty leaves. Okay, and then here's another version. This one's in Calypso Coral, and I added some gold accents. Here I used the embossing folder on vellum to show off those leaves. Isn't that pretty? And then here I did a fun one where it's a window, because the idea of those cutouts kind of really says, you know, fun window card. So the flowers stay back like so, and then you've got a trifold. So that's a really fun little card. So we're going to make a couple of these together. I'm going to break it down, I think, into 2 separate videos because I don't want the video to be so long, but I really want you to see the different ways to use it because it's so fun. Here's the dies. I didn't show them up close. So here's the embossing folder. Again, hard to see, so I put the this picture, the cover that it comes with, so you can kind of see all these areas here. All right, and then the only thing that cuts out is going to be your flowers. So you're going to, and you can kind of know where it's going to go because they only fit one way. So you're going to put them in here so they don't fit that way. And if you go this way, obviously they're not the cutting edge. So you want to go on the side that has the Stampin' Up! Logo and then match it. And they fit there. And then you're going to cut and emboss all at one time. Amazing, right? I saved the embossed area from this polished pink one so you can kind of see what I mean about the texture. So it's real pretty just by itself. You can even use the sponge to add some more detail to that. So I thought we'd start with a simple card, and I thought we would do this one. And like I said, I'm using polished pink. Let me set these aside. Oh, I wanted to add some black accent, and I used a cutout from the Color and Contour bundle, and the dies are called Scalloped Contours. There's a piece right in front of the name. I don't have this one memorized yet because it's relatively new. Scalloped Contours. This is an awesome die set. I don't even put it away. I mean, my dies are all alphabetized in this bin, and this one just stays at the front because I use it so much. Look at this. And the scallop is beautiful. Anyway. Scallop Contours, that's this one. And I cut that out in basic black, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to emboss use the embossing folder as is, no dies at all. So I'm just going to go simple, and I'm just going to use the folder plain. And normally I don't show my cutting machine on the video because, you know, we all see how to die and you know how to do it. But I want to show you because this is a 3D folder, so you do need to use different plates. I'm going to do it sideways. Hopefully this shows up on film. I don't usually do it because it's I don't like to keep it right in my work surface. So when you're doing an embossing folder 3D, you want to stick with your big platform, but then you want to use the number 4 plate. This comes with the die cutting machine, so you don't have to worry about not having it. And it's this plate here, number 4, and it tells you that right here on the surface of the machine. So you're just going to crank that through with the number 4 plate. And you get that beautiful, look at how pretty these flowers are. Now you could use this just by itself. This is a beautiful card front all by its little self. But we're going to kick that up a notch. I'm going to use some watercolor paper. Okay, and because I'm watercoloring, I need to use StazOn ink, which is right here. And when I stamp on watercolor paper has a slight texture to it, a little bit of a tooth to it. So I like to use my stamp apparatus, and that way if I don't get a good impression, I can stamp again. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I don't use my stamp apparatus for everything, but watercolor paper for sure. When you're using the photopolymer stamps on the stamp apparatus, you do need to use that extra matte. And I put this paper down just, I don't know, so I don't get ink on anything, but I don't know that it's needed. All right. Okay, see what I mean? I didn't get a good image. But because I stuck this in the corner, I can stamp on top and do it again. I might need to put more ink on my pad too. Nice deep image, and see I didn't get any double lines because it was lined up perfectly. Alright, so to color, I'm just going to go ahead and grab my polished paint and a water painter. Okay, I like to work with my Stampin' Scrub next to me, so I can drip the excess water into that and not all over my project, and not used a bunch of paper or towels. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up some of this ink with some water. Now if you don't want to mess up your lid, you can just take a Stampin' block and stamp that into the ink and pick up color right from there. I don't mind messing up my lid. One of my favorite things about watercolor is that you don't have to be precise. You don't have to feel that you need to get every nook and cranny. Make nice brush strokes and it looks nice. Looks beautiful, soft and elegant. Now you might want to go back in and add deeper color. So once an area is dry, if I tried to add more color on top of a really wet petal, that ink, that deeper color would just kind of go and blend in with the rest of it, and it won't be such a highlight. But if you throw some more ink down, if you wait till an area is dry and then add a second layer, you can get some nice veins on your petals, perhaps. Depends on what you want to do. So I'm going to go deeper color near the center of the flower. And then I wanted my flower centers to be yellow. I don't know what flower this is supposed to be, but the flowers that used to grow outside when I was growing up was cosmos, and they were pink with yellow centers, and I love them. They're still my favorite. I tried to grow some myself, and they came back for a couple years, and then they stopped coming back, so I'm going to have to plant some more. Not sure why they stopped, but they did. So I'm going to give them yellow centers, and to my mind, these are cosmos. And then I wanted to do some leaves, so let's do some of those. And then in sticking with using some of the newer colors, I grabbed Evening Evergreen. It's a really pretty color. That center was Bumblebee, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned it. The nice thing about aqua painters is you can switch colors, same brush. I just cleaned it here on my Stampin' Scrub, and I'm going to move on to my leaves, same brush. So I went really dark on that one. Let's see if I can lighten that up. Ink is fun to paint with. It's not the same as watercolor, and so it's harder. Sometimes you can't lift color like you can with watercolor, so it's a little tricky, but it's fun. It almost works almost exactly the same way. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut these out. Now I'm not going to bother adding texture to the watercolor flowers. The watercolor paper already has some texture, and it doesn't show up as well as when I do it like on this one. You can't tell on the on your video, but this has lots of nice texture, and I did not use watercolor paper for this one. This one I colored with my Stampin' Blends, and I used shimmer white, and it's really, or shimmery white, yeah, and it's nice and textured. And so sometimes you can use it and sometimes you don't have to. This one also shimmery white. So I tried it before on the watercolor paper, and it doesn't show up as well. I think there's already just enough texture going on here, and so I just cut these out with the dies. Now, Stampin' Up! Knows that we use lots of leaves, so it was really brilliant of them to give us 2 sets of leaves. Actually, I stamped 3 of this one, so I'm going to have that a second go at that. But wasn't that brilliant? Oops, wrong way. Okay, I'm going to go cut these out. I'll be right back. Okay, to put this card together, you are going to, did I forget to score this? I did. I don't know how I forgot that. Okay, that's why it wasn't folding easily. Okay, for this card, I just attached my embossed background straight down flat. And I embossed my greeting in white. So let's do that real quick. I think I'm going to use You're a Rare Find again. Oops. There we go. I love embossing my sentiments. Just really kind of elevates the card a little bit, don't you think? Alright, so let's heat that up. Okay, I'm using some ribbon from the Playful Pets, I think it's called, Ribbon Combo Pack. Back when this ribbon was first introduced in the last catalog, it kind of coordinated with some Playful Pets Designer Series paper, which is why it's called that. Alright, so I'm just tying a bow. And then I'm going to place that down with some dimensionals. Now I'm going to put this slightly to the right, like so. And I'm going to stick a glue dot behind that bow. I just like it to stay exactly where I want it. Okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and lay down my various flowers however I like. I think this is the trickiest part, just trying to figure out where you want them to go. I'm going to stick a dimensional right behind there. Place that. Put the dimensional near the area where I know it's not going to, where it's going to make contact with the polished pink and not the black. So I'm trying to keep the layers not too puffy. I like my cards to go through the mail easily. I don't want anybody to have to spend a lot of extra postage to mail them, and I want them to fit in the envelope. Alright, so I've got my pinks down, and then if you wanted to go and add a little more adhesive on the areas where it touches the black, you can. Or you can throw a glue dot behind there. Alright, now I'm just going to place my greenery. Let's see, I don't know what I want where. Alright, I hear someone outside my door. Okay, I feel discombobulated because the kids are all home and I can hear them lurking outside my door. Like, obviously they wanted my attention, but they were afraid. What if I'm videoing? Which I was. Usually if my door's closed, that means mommy is videoing. And then I'm like listening. I'm spending my time listening. Who's there? It's kind of funny. I may not need all of these green pieces. I think I might stop there. Well, maybe this one. Maybe I think I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it be. Alright, so I have some extra leaves in my little in bloom. I put my extra pieces from a stamp that I've used into the little packet, and then I leave it in the case. Alright, so there is one card with the "You're a Rare Find" sentiment, and let's move on. Sorry, I realize I'm discombobulated. It's because I can still hear them outside my door. They want dinner. Okay. We're going to make this one. This one's quick. So here we are going to use the embossing folder just like we just did. Only this time with the vellum. I'm going to go ahead and do exactly what I did before. Run it through with the plate, the large plate, and the number 4. And then you get these really pretty embossed leaves and flowers. So pretty. And then I want to do the flowers. But this time we are going to cut and emboss at the same time. And I'm going to show you that because I really think that's cool. So first we need to stamp, and then we're going to color. I think it's easier to stamp and color. And I'm going to use shimmery white. I've got a little scrap of that. And when you use Stampin' Blends, we need to use Memento ink. I'm going to clean this. cleaned it well. I did, okay. So I'm just going to find my scrap here of shimmery white. Now that's another thing you don't see well on the video, is that this is shimmery white cardstock, and it's really pretty. I'm trying to see what corner is not cut. It's a scrap, so it's not a perfect corner. That is. Okay, so I want to make sure it's jammed in the corner in case I need to stamp again. So we're going to use Memento ink because I want to color it with Stampin' Blends. And press down. Alright, I got a good image. And then I'm going to use, I decided I really like Petal Pink or even the Pale Papaya, so I think I'm going to grab Petal Pink. I'm going for a really soft look. Here's the card we're going to do. So I wanted it to be really soft. I'm going to go with the light, and then I'm going to just do a nice background very softly. And then with the dark Petal Pink, I just added a little more detail. Kind of adds nice little shadows, real soft. And then took it one step further, and I added a tiny bit of Calypso Coral. And here I went with the bullet end, and I just added a little bit of little veins from the flowers, just a little bit. That's it. I wanted really pale flowers. Okay, now we're going to do that cut and emboss thing. Alright, so we're going to use, now this is the tricky part, is that we're going to, where's that die? Okay, and here's the folder. So you want to place the die on the side with the Stampin' Up logo. Okay, you've got it where it goes. Then you have to look. You have to look through the die, or through the embossing folder. So you can't, obviously you can't just place it down, you have to look. So you're going to move it, and hopefully you can see through it too, because it's kind of clear-ish, right? And you're going to position those stamped images right where they need to go. So see how you can, hopefully you can see, I've got the floral images lined up, and then I'm going to carefully, now you can washi tape if you feel you need to, add a little washi tape to hold that paper in place, and then you're going to run it through. And I'm going to bring the machine over again since this is something new. And again, we're going to use the big plate, plate number 1, and we're going to put down our folder, and then we're going to put plate number 4 and run it through. And then what that's doing is it embossed my flowers and cut them out at the same time. So, and I know it's hard to see on film, but it absolutely, maybe if I turn it, it absolutely is raised. The petals are raised, there's some veins. It's really a pretty little effect. So I'm going to put this card together. Now when I put this down, onto my Calypso Coral base. I'm only going to add adhesive on the areas behind that are going to be hidden by these flowers, just so I don't see any of that adhesive. I know it's clear, but sometimes on the vellum, you know how vellum is kind of cloudy, the adhesive kind of causes it to not be, so you can kind of see where it is. And I'd rather not have that look, so I'm going to put it behind the flowers. And it's okay that it's kind of sticking up there. It's kind of elegant that way. All right, and then I'm going to stick these flowers, these cutout flowers, down with dimensionals. Right on top of where they go. Starting out with one dimensional right in the middle. I might add more. The reason for that is because I'm going to tuck petal or leaves behind, and I don't want to have so many dimensionals blocking where I can tuck. Alright, so I've got those down. Now I already cut out leaves, and this is part of the die set. The nice thing about these, some of the leaves that the die set comes with are solid, so that you can cut out the stamped leaf like we did here. We cut out a stamped leaf, and then another one of the dies is a detailed leaf, which is really pretty. So I've cut out a bunch of those. I meant to take all these little centers out. I'll fast forward while I do that. Okay, so I've got my leaves cut out. This is another die from the set. Same stamp die collection. This one here cuts out these little flower centers, and it cuts out 3 at a time, which is really nice. And then I'm going to use this long die, also it comes in the set, and I'm going to use that for the sentiment. Let's see if that's a long enough piece. It is, so that's in Petal Pink. I'm going to go ahead and stamp this in Basic Gray. Thank you for making me happy is what that says. And cut that out with my machine. Okay, so I'm going to use this Pale Papaya ribbon. Now I know Pale Papaya is not the same as Petal Pink. However, the ribbon has got this really pretty sheerness to it. And I have to say I've been able to kind of interuse it between the Pale Papaya cardstock and the Petal Pink cardstock. It looks nice on both. Oh, and I wanted to add this gold. The gold comes in a combo pack with silver, and it's really pretty. Not good at tying 2 ribbons at once. I always get them twisted up. Alright, so I'm trying to tie a bow using both the ribbons at one time. For me, it's not a good task. But I like the way it looks in the end, so I keep trying. There we go. I did it. Okay. So now I'm going to just do a little pulling on the different ribbons, tie it tight, and cut my ends. Alright, I'm going to glue dot this right in the center of where all these flowers meet. Okay, and then I'm going to make a bridge out of this little sentiment and go right over the middle of that bow. So I'm just going to put a dimensional on either side of the ends, like so, and go right across that center, and it's a little bridge. Thank you for, or no, thanks for making me happy. I think that's really elegant. Now let's add up all of our leaves. It'll bring a lot of fullness, and I think it'll look lovely. So first I'm going to use these flower centers. If you think that's too much gold, I couldn't decide. I'm like putting them down, taking them off. I wasn't sure, but I thought, you know what? I don't usually add a lot of bling or glitz. So I thought, you know, for once, let's do it. All right, so I've got my centers blinged out, And then when I add these leaves, it's going to really add some fullness to the card. And like I said, I'm just going to tuck them kind of under. Now there's two different shapes of these detailed leaves. I'm just kind of mixing them up. And every once in a while add a gold one. And sometimes I want the gold to be on top, sometimes I want the gold to be on the bottom. I'm trying to make sure to not go past the edge of the card, because I want this to fit in the envelope. There we go. So I think I need another one. Not sure, but I have it, so let's put it down. Okay, there's my blinged out card. I think it's lovely. So we did that one and we did this one. I think they're both really pretty. I hope that you'll join me. So now I'm gonna go make dinner. And then I'm gonna come back and we're gonna do this one, which is, maybe we won't. I don't know. It's the same as this one, except for a different color. And then we're gonna do this one, which is like a tri-fold card. And that's really fun. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions on this bundle, please feel free to ask. I think it's gorgeous. It's called the Art, I don't think I mentioned the name, it's called the Art in Bloom bundle, and there'll be a link to products used in the video description. Anyway, I think it's lovely. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.